all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere, I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere, I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. My friends, my neighbors, good citizens all, I thank you for coming and heeding the call. Let's rally the people and bring them all near. Sing out our songs for the whole world to hear. This is the cradle of all that we are. This is the heart of the storm. This is the ground where the future was born. This here is Anvil and this is our home. Each song that we sing and each story we tell, each hero we name and each life that we sell, each breath and each beat of your heart is a beat of the drum. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Before 10 in the morning, we're barely alive. We're like ghosts, we're like spirits, and then coffee arrives. Then heroes awaken and stand by your side. Now gather your courage and sing out your pride. For the storm will not break us, although it may try. The sun may beat down and may bake the world dry, but we stand by our neighbors and raise them up tall. Gather your voices and scream out the call. For you are my empire and you are my hall. For you I would fight and for you I would fall. For you are the beat of my heart and the heart of my song. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. So fill up your tankards and fill up your lungs. Leave no words unspoken and no song unsung. Make noise for your heroes, your kith and your kin. Sing out their names and the pride that they bring. Together we stand and divided we fall, and the future we write will be shaped by us all. For we are the singers and we are the song of a story that's greater than more. Sing along. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere, I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere, I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. my neighbors, good citizens all, I thank you for coming and heeding the call. Let's rally the people and bring them all near. Sing out our songs for the whole world to hear. This is the cradle of all that we are. This is the heart of the storm. This is the ground where the future was born. This here is Anvil and this is our home. Each song that we sing and each story we tell, each hero we name and each life that we sell, each breath and each beat of your heart is a beat of the drum. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. Before 10 in the morning, we're barely alive. We're like ghosts, we're like spirits, and then coffee arrives. Then heroes awaken and stand by your side. Now gather your courage and sing out your pride. For the storm will not break us, although it may try. The sun may be down and may bake the world dry, but we stand by our neighbors and raise them up tall. Gather your voices and scream out the call. For you are my empire and you are my hall. For you I would fight and for you I would fall. For you are the beat of my heart and the heart of my song. Give me drink in my cup and friends who will share it, song on my lips and ears that'll hear it, fire in my eyes to light all the good people I see. I tell you, my friends, there's nowhere that I'd rather be. So fill up your tankards and fill up your lungs. Leave no words unspoken and no song unsung. Make noise for your heroes, your kith and your kin. Sing out their names and the pride that they bring. Together we stand and divided we fall. And the future we write will be shaped by us all. For we are the singers and we are the song of a story that's greater than Moth.
Hello everyone, let's check. Audio seems to be all good, all be good, all be good. Excellent stuff. Thanks for coming along this evening. I've got the delightful, the delectable David with me this evening. He is part of the tragic, terrible, awful Black Scar within the Navarre.
Good evening, everybody.
So we have Dave is currently in Western Africa. That was it, wasn't it? And so there is a bit of delay every now and again. So he catches up, and then we get a little bit of delay. But considering where he is in the world, I think we're doing pretty well that we can even see him. So any lag or anything like that, we do apologise, but we are doing the best that we can. So hopefully everyone's got a drink. We're going to have a nice chilled evening, nice little bit of a chat. Just take it easy. And oh, my daughter has appeared behind me. No. She knows. So Dave, we'll start off with this then. I have a few questions that I will always ask in everyone, but we tend to go off and stuff like that and chat. Feel free, ask questions whenever you want. What got you into roleplay?
Sure.
Actually, ignore that. Do you want to introduce yourself to everyone first? That's probably a good start.
Okay, so I'm Turner. I play Resort Dancewalker in Devar, one of the infamous Black Scar lot. I've been playing Empire since year 2E1. Been role-playing 10 years now, I guess. I'm currently, as you mentioned, over in Sierra Leone at the moment, doing work on at the moment.
Excellent stuff. So we'll go back to that question. And so what was it that got you into roleplay in general?
the first ever game of D&D I ever played was last year. Bit of a horrible thing to say when many
Wow.
people say, "Oh, it's D&D that got them into roleplay." I actually started out in the other way. I started out in reenactment, into kind of Viking and Saxon reenactment, and
Mm.
I went to university in Swansea, and there's a fantastic LARP group there. Mainly doing LT when I started, but I offered to train in Oystermouth Castle. Training one day, and they were like, "Look, sorry, we booked the castle, but do you guys want to hang around and crew?" And I was like, "You know what? Cool, let's do this." And obviously, I had a lot of the kit ready, had the existing armor and stuff. I really enjoyed it because it was an opportunity to reenactment where it's very scripted. Obviously, there's lots of questions about authenticity, certain type of kit. You really get to tell the story. You never get to tell, did someone do this? What was their motivations? Why did they care? Why did this character do this? It's always, well, it's battle for the public, and great, I've been hit, and I'm going to fall over and die now. It's never really that interesting. So I kind of that way, just kind of started crewing. Got persuaded to come onto Empire, gave it a go, fell in love with it, and never looked back.
Awesome. I think it wasn't D&D for me. It was Vampire the Masquerade. For me, that's what got me into it all. When I
Solid
was
choice. That's not that.
Oh yeah. If you can ignore all of the horrible stuff that was behind the company to start off with, it's a solid game. So I did that, and that was like 20 odd years ago. For me, tabletop and all of that, saying great fun. So what was it that led you to the Navarre? What was it that really spoke to you and made you go, yeah, I've got to go off and be a crayon faced murder monkey?
I really like the origin of Empire in terms of it's quite an interesting thing to be kind of all the briefs of the Empire. And one thing I absolutely adore about Empire is having the national briefs, because that allows you to really develop cultures that
Yeah.
are distinct from each other. And unlike a lot of festivals, which I won't mention by name, but become very homogenous, right? They all become the same. It's kind of, you've got a Northman wearing furs and this nation, technically different nations, but they all look kind of the same. Empire doesn't. Empire looks very distinctive from each other, or the nations look very distinctive. And the one thing I love about Navarre is the concept of having, it ties into the kind of elvish vibe from Lord of the Rings, Eldar from Warhammer. The concept of having lost something, of having lost an empire and trying to retrieve one, is a really fascinating issue.
Yeah.
Dealing with this huge existential threat, which is really cool. And obviously that's taken on leaps and bounds in the last couple of years in the game. Also have a whole, when I joined, their brief still had a lot of rough edges that kind of you could see fitting into questions about, okay, they're a nomadic people, totally nomadic. They have their own, they do have settlements, they do have cities,
Yeah.
trade a lot. Also, really interesting niche of being both nomads but not nomads. What's their culture, and how does their culture adapt and move between different territories and interact with other nations is a really interesting question. So I loved all of that. And I guess I really like the Thorn brief in particular, which is why to be a...
Yeah. I can understand that. I think that's where a lot of people, because that's what I like about, as you were talking about the national briefs. Every single nation has their own little set things within them. Like before this, where we were talking about Wintermark and that, and how you really like the fact that you got the Calavesi is a very, very interesting one, and we were talking about the things within that. I mean, it's like, I make no secret of the fact that Highguard are, as a nation, I find them a bit, they're not for me. I think they're a bit boring and that, but whereas I know people who they've joined Highguard and they're the greatest nation in the Empire for them, and they love them. They couldn't imagine not playing someone in Highguard. So I think that's what PD have done incredibly well, where they have created all of these nations, and they have got these little things, the little catches within each nation, and that have made people go, I need to stay within this nation, and they create some amazing characters. So like Rachel Westra, for example, in the Marches. So I mean, General Flowers was a fantastic character. So I think it's nice to see, we see all of these wonderful characters that stick out and stuff. And it's like I have to say, like for your character within Black Scar, where you don't wash for a couple of days beforehand, and you get your dandruff going on in the hair. And so
No, I think you've exactly hit the nail on the head there, though. I mean, Wintermark, right? I know a lot of people in Empire aren't the biggest fans of Wintermark. Wintermark is the largest in terms of number of players, right? Fascinating things about Wintermark that are almost unique amongst all the nations of the game. You have three distinct cultures within one nation, right? And they're constantly up against each other. They're constantly having to deal with issues. Do they stay as a unified people? How do they fight together? How do they work together? What takes primacy over what? Those are fascinating questions, right? And whole rich mine of fantastic roleplay, even within one nation. And Wintermark is perhaps the best example of that, where you can really see the difficulties of, say, if I'm a Steiner, how do I interact with you in Calabasi Berserker, right? How do we deal with Suak, who's trying to push a different magical agenda, right? All that kind of stuff makes a really fantastic in-depth story. That's even before you add in real game, the other game, questions of other nations and so on, or internal game, or wherever route you want to go down.
yeah,
Even as a nation, so many routes and so many stories to tell that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, but I found that within the Navarre as well, with the Thorns and the Vates especially. As a player, I don't like magic, which is weird for me being Calavasi. I've always avoided magic, even when I'm playing games. It's like I'm playing Divinity 2 at the moment. My character, no magic, none whatsoever. I hate it. I don't get on with magic in any system or anything like that. Vampire, I don't like the Tremere or anything, which is weird because I'm playing a Giovanni and they've got necromancy, so it's a bit odd. But I like about the fact that we get with these archetypes is that you can sit down with that one person who knows so much more, and they will talk your ear off, whether you want them to or not. They will tell you everything you need to know about what that one thing. It's like, I only need to know, can you do this? It's like, yes. But sit down for an hour and let me tell you the story of why you need to do this and how we can do this and stuff. And that is the great thing, I think, as well. So, because within Black Scar, would you say you're primarily Thorn based, or?
Yeah. So.
Ooh. Oh dear, we seem to have lost you, Dave.
There we go. So, happened there. Magic.
Do
So Black Scar, I mean, yeah, Black Scar's primarily born. That wasn't really a concept. Started. I could say it wasn't my idea either. So it's kind of a group of different things and settings in the game. For those who don't play Navarre, basically are whether or not you're a nomadic group or a stationary group within Navarre, within the decided, you know what, we all like each other's company game, and we all tended to group together to fight together. So someone said, well, this is insane that we have different people all telling us what to do on the battlefield, and it doesn't make any sense. And in the brief, it made sense that fantastic concepts of being a thorn and the concept of brand and Navarre, the about leadership and how leadership is given. It's not a God-given right or earned right or glorious right or whatever. It's earned by your followers, and your followers at any time can say, I'm all right, I'm not going with you today because I don't trust you or I think this works or whatever. That really kind of raised a really interesting concept. Although we were separate groups and we had our own separate identities at the time, although they kind of grew together because people tended to know us more as fighting than they did as outside of it.
Yeah.
For some really interesting dynamics, because did up sort of examples where on the battlefield someone would run up and be like, well, I'm General so-and-so of the whatever it is in High Guard or whatever. That's great. You know, Brand to my left currently has literally 50 people underneath them command. Act entirely independently as Thorns and basically take the interpretation of the objective and then work it out themselves. It's a really interesting question. It's a very different kind of a way of the concept of leadership and authority within the game that also felt very distinctly Navarre. Felt was a really exciting thing that a lot of people wanted to join and be part of. So Black Scar, out in kind of E2, who wanted to fight together. Primarily thorns. We have lots of vates, healers, vines these days, as well as brokers, and it's kind of evolved ever since from that. It's been a really interesting and really fun, and I've made tons of fantastic friends both in game and indeed out.
Because the Black Scar have got a bit of a reputation. Would you say that's fair?
Are we talking OC or IC? No, I'm joking.
Yes.
I think it did. It was as brief as evolved, and I won't kind of hesitate from saying I think, when it first started out, was a little bit coarser in terms of there was a very distinct between the cultured element of Navarre and the uncultured, or the wild and the aimed, or however you wanted to call it. And that was written into the brief at the time, that there was very much a view that you had on the fringes of society, people who ran the cities and did the trading, but also were great fighters too. So to think kind of about between the two sides. I think Black Skull was very much into we're going to do the wild, untamed, in the woods type stuff. It was also, and that was kind of the very much origin from a lot of the stridings that joined it. The concept, a lot of the kind of literature that everyone tended to share, with things like Prince of Thoughts, right? You're talking about questions of if the Tower are often referred to as Space Marines and they all want to be Dark Angels, then the concept everyone always would say, well, what about the Night Lords, right? Questions of justice on Earth, what kind of stuff. And that's an interesting kind of fun concepts to play around with. But only when Black Scar first formed, it was very much the rogues, the misfits, the rebels who very much saw interpretation of the brief. They went, you know what, we want to do something. I think in more recent years, one of the most fascinating elements of that story has been definitely it's softened. It's become more of a question about actually we want to work together with people. And while it's fun to be on the outside, it's only fun for a short period of time. People go, we don't want to deal with these people. We want to be like them, so we won't talk to them. That kind of limits your role play after a time. The kind of cast and then reintegration of Black Scar has been a really fascinating story in its own right. It's been great fun.
We've just had someone follow me. Their name is Cake and Ice Cream is Cool. That's it. That's really cool. I think I've won Twitch now. I think that's the best way to describe that. Everyone's saying hello in chat and stuff like that. Got Kit has said, "Lock up your children and comely partners." So, I think that's the good thing when you create a nice group. So hello to everyone in chat. Thanks for coming along to watch this. Really appreciate it. There's been a question that has been asked, and I will ask. It's almost 3 a.m. there, by the way. When it comes to my comparison would be the Black Scar and the 2 feet, because obviously I'm in the 2 feet, and you see the stark differences between the two groups. I think because the Black Scar obviously it has a reputation, whether or not I think anyone says that it does or it doesn't. It has a bit of a something about it all, and you're tucked away in the corner, up at the back, and people they don't tend to go up there and see you as often as they probably should. Because I remember when Ulrich Basden was about, and I wandered on up there, and me and him sat down and we had a great chat, and it was such a good night. I had a great time up there, and so I think there's all those sorts of things come into it, and you get the Black Scar. They seem quite closed off a lot of the time from an outsider's perspective. And then you get the 2 feet who are very they're constantly open, and they take in waifs and strays, so we get people turn up and it's like, well, I'm on my own and stuff like that. Yeah, come sit with us, and they eventually join. And I think that's another thing that is about the Navarre, especially that is really, really good. I think my biggest criticism of Black Scar is that you come and do your battle training right in front of my hall. next to the loos. So whenever you're doing battle journey and you hear things and you hear heckling coming from somewhere over there, it's me, and I'm shouting and generally hurling abuse and stuff like that. So mainly towards Chris Melvin when he's when he's doing stuff, but he deserves it. Let's face it, he deserves it always. So we've had a question come through for you. What nation would you be looking to join next?
100%. 100%. That is a really tough question. For me, I think there's two fascinating areas of the game I'd love to do. I really like the Imperial Orcs. I confess, wearing latex for the whole weekend doesn't necessarily fill me with huge joy. The whole thing of the kind of ancestors and choosing, being Imperial ancestors for the first time, or eventually develop Imperial ancestors into their religion and into their kind of voices, I should say, of their heritage and their culture and how it's evolving is a really fascinating one. Just like Navarre, kind of going through the whole debate about Seren and evolving as a culture, the Imperial Orcs are at that crossroads as well. They've got to make a decision of where do they go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Imperial Orcs are really cool. The other one I really like, you mentioned, we were discussing earlier, kind of your lack of love of High Guard. I think there is something to me about High Guard in that, the faith question. I haven't really seen much of is that taken to the nth degree, right? So I'd love to see some more kind of proper faith preachers, sort of Warrior of Sigmar kind of stuff. I think that could be quite interesting in terms of actual sort of preaching and conversions and that kind of stuff. It's quite an interesting area of the faith game. I don't know how long I'd want to do that though, and I think there's some great interesting areas of sort of High Guard around Watch, Justin's Legacy, for example, is really good. Justin's Legacy is a great player group that's very new, fundamentally changing the dynamic of a nation, has really tab odds, and a really good look, but they've also done some really interesting stuff in the margins. So I'd probably say High Guard or Imperial Orcs, and probably like to do all the nations. There's never enough time, right? There's too many choices and too many awesome things going on in the game. But probably Imperial Orcs first.
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed the chat with Matt, plays Skywise Fowl in the Orcs, and those conversations were really, really good. And Ben, don't ask that question, please. No, not tonight. Ben's a new player he's going into Dawn, and he's been. I think he's been watching these streams for quite a while now. He's a real good lad. I'm looking forward to having a drink with him in the field. Let's put it that way. He's a good lad. He's asked, "What's your favourite virtue?"
Ooh, courage. Not for the reasons a lot of people think. Courage in the game is the really cool thing about the virtues is there's so many deeper meanings to them in terms of kind of delve into the faith game. So I play a priest in the game as well as a thorn. I absolutely adore the faith game because it's open to interpretation. You could have huge arguments as priests of the same faith, of the same virtue, about the meaning of courage or prosperity or ambition.
Yeah.
For me, it's very much courage, and this interpretation of courage, I think, has evolved quite a lot. And again, the evolution of your character's beliefs is fascinating in roleplay. Kind of my character Riz has evolved from being a pretty dumb as rocks thorn whose belief was courage was spear, heroism. More of the questions of the concepts of light into dark, the concept of challenging oneself, asking difficult questions, speak but not necessarily defined, is a fascinating point of courage. And I can say a lot of debate never seems to go beyond the kind of, look, I'm a warrior, so therefore I'm courageous. Well, actually, it's a lot nuanced than that, and actually someone who doesn't fight but ends up fighting because they feel they have to, defending something they love, far more meaningful to the concept of courage than a High Guard Cataphract taking the field because that's what they enjoy doing, or a Dornish Knight taking the field because, glory, or doing it. To someone, a mother in Varishka standing up to defend against the hordes of or something is a more interesting story. We'll delve into the very kind of deeper meaning and deeper nuances of the virtue. probably courage. I also really like some of the heretical ones as well. There's some really fascinating interplay of some of the heretical virtues in terms of why are they illegal, why are they heretical. Some are written out for political reasons. Some are unsavory attached with them. Some of them are entirely. And the whole history around them is fascinating. So yeah, there's a whole game in there, and I won't delve into it now. But the virtue game is one of the best I've ever encountered in the various LARP systems.
Yeah, the virtues game is massive. Helen has said the only worthwhile virtue is vigilance, you scrubs. So, but I think that's the same about the national briefs as well. Is that with these virtues, it creates everyone finds something that they really stick into. Because I wanted Mac to be to follow wisdom, even because it's really done for him because he's not wise at all. But he's sort of gone in the way of loyalty, and loyalty is a really interesting one because it provokes Mac to be really dumb as well. Loyal to a fault, but really dumb. So it's
but that's an interesting question itself, though, right? Because who is Mac loyal to? That's where you start following that chain, right? Group, love, friends, fire.
See that's the interesting bit right there because there's Mac and Grim, they're a pair, and they've become really close, and they always do everything together: fight, drink, drugs. Thank you, Kit. Drink and drugs. He's just put in, and so they'll always go off and they do these things together, and so if Grim's in trouble, Mac will always go running. If Mac's in trouble, Grim will always go running, and they've become really close. So loyalty has become a big thing for them, to the point of where I think they are probably what was it? Challenge the Iron Duke. We put down we are the greatest lovers in Anvil. So PD have apparently really enjoyed what we put to them, and that because that was a big part of it, and loyalty and stuff like that. So I really like that whole thing to it, and because in the virtue chat that we did, I said that I avoided all the virtues like the plague for the first 2 years because I didn't want to do that. I wasn't interested, and I just wanted to be there to be with friends, and it was a holiday. But then it just sucks you in regardless. I'm avoiding it. Oh, but it's there again. Oh, now it's over there, and it's all around me, and it's constant. And you'll always get people coming up to you just saying, "What about this? What about this? What about this?" and stuff like that. As Helen has just said, it's like herpes. So I think there's a lot of stuff like that. So would you be the sort of person who would sit down with someone if they were having a crisis of faith in character? Would you take that on yourself? Because you as David, you seem to enjoy that sort of side of it, and there's always a bit of bleed between OC and IC there. So if you enjoy that conversation, then you're going to enjoy IC as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's actually one of the great loves I find about this is my first ever LARP character. He's come a long way from being dumb as a rock thorn to kind of being suddenly asked political opinions on what's happening or whatever, or having opinions about faith. To me, the most enjoyment I ever get out of the game, apart from some of the fantastic fights, right? And everyone has the fight that they remember, right? The ones that they're thinking like, oh, it was that moment, when you were there, and there's the thing, and we did that, and that, those kind of moments live in your memory forever, right? I mean,
yeah.
It was very much kind of, some of those forlorn fights in the mist. You know who's on which side. There's just screaming coming from the woodland. Something comes out. It was like, literally striding out of a Hollywood movie. I think it's also the moments, places in between, you have a chance to sit down, as you said, talk to people about faith. And that's, to me, what makes the world believable. It gives you that immersion. Because of LARP systems, they have fight, depending on you, if like, is awesome. To me, it's the depth, the details. Details always in LARP. And having a chance to sit down, and I had one events ago actually where I sat down and spoke at length about faith and what it meant, and finding health in the part of the concept of finding your part in the dance, right? And to play there of nationally versus game is a really interesting one.
Yeah.
But being able to sit down with someone just religion, incredible. And I suddenly realized a couple of years ago that to me gave me so much game. It made me so the role play opportunities there were so fun to do. Create that story together and then see that person's character evolve.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Now, admittedly, the first time I did it, the person ran off and became a heretic, so probably not the best example, but it's a great game, man. It's a fantastic game.
Excellent. That's a really good example. So yeah, so religious chat is definitely your bag. We got asked a question. What's your been your favourite moment in game for yourself then?
Two. One actually I found, and we briefly mentioned talking about Bleed. I don't know if he's probably not listening, but Matt Frampton, who used to play a fantastic character called War Beast, he now plays Orcs. Absolutely lovely guy, and sort of characters sort of one of my friends, and fantastic battle, and it was brutal and absolute carnage, and you've no idea. You generally start thinking, how the hell am I going to get out of this alive?
Yeah,
it was a sort of in the complete chaos of a fight. There were just people going down all over the place, arrows coming out of nowhere. Everyone's under venom, so there's just casualties all over the place. Screaming for healers. The healers are dying faster than the fighters. Remember, I've seen this kind of fight scene. This figure alone, surrounded by Drew. She's definitely trying to fight. And I sort of realized I was like, oh no, okay, this is the character's best friend. I've got to get to him. And no matter how hard my character tried to get there, couldn't get there. Vividly remembered being dragged back by two people out as the character desperately trying to get to Matt. And in that moment, it was this kind of conversation of like going through my head of like, I've got to get to him. I've got to get to him. And to say I didn't. And this fantastic moment, and it's really vivid in my memory, was kind of kneeling beside Beast's corpse and doing effectively ushering him in through the gates of the labyrinth with Lao. I realized halfway through that this is actually, these are real tears. This is it. I've really lost a great warrior and a great friend of my character for years in his life, trying to hold a gap that my character failed doing. And that was a really powerful moment when I realized it was like, this is such a strong emotion.
Yeah.
Probably number one. I think the second was my reputation. The first time I was put on trial for selling for various crimes, so committed, facing execution, and was played by the fantastic Hard Frost, the infamous character, was kind of overseeing the investigation of the face he was playing the magistrate, and I was just thinking, oh my god, this is it, right? This is it,
Yeah.
And I ended up kind of kneeling on the floor, see sword being drawn of this is going to be the moment.
Yeah.
Out of absolutely nowhere, fantastic clemency plea put in, and that's a really cool thing in the game. And I'm rave about clemency pleas because it's you putting the life of your character in someone else's, and you've no idea where it's going to go, and it's an interesting space. It's literally rolling the dice to see what happens. In that moment, your whole character on the line, it's not control. You are entirely reliant on someone else stepping up and saying, actually, what they did for virtuous reasons. This person was unvirtuous, but they were great in prosperity or ambition or loyalty, whatever. Those are probably my two best moments. But there's been many fantastic stories, great loves, great loss, victories, defeats. And in every story, every character out there has so many amazing stories, and every one of them is beautiful.
You've actually given me the idea for a video doing that, talking about this. So, but I think I'll keep that one to myself for a time being. I'll come back to that later. But it's funny enough you talk about Oliver Facey and Hardfrost and stuff like that, because my first character, when the murder happened in the woods that I didn't do. I was off and I was pulled before. I genuinely didn't do it, but it's I genuinely didn't do it. That's why it was sort of like so I was in front of the magistrate. It wasn't Oliver Face. It was the other one. He's got the nice white moustache and a little bit of a beard and stuff like that. The glasses.
Oh yeah, Kovic is.
I can't remember his name. And Chatter convinced I murdered someone. And but yeah, and I was stood there, and it was him, and Halfrost was there. He had collected all the evidence, and I was just like, "Oh God," is what a murderer would say. Yeah, that's fine. My character is dead now, so it's not like it matters. No, because it was mostly yours and someone else's fault. But I'm bitter at all, prick. But we were stood there, and they basically, I had a couple of generals, a captain, and a load of other people. They all came forward and basically just said, they put him for clemency, and so I let him join the Legion, let him just fight every battle until he's dead, and stuff. And then they just went, no. So we're not going to execute him though. He's done a lot. We'll let you not come back from the battle tomorrow. Go and get yourself killed tomorrow and do it in a proper way. And it was like, oh, I quite like that. So I got to have a final night. So I was going around, people coming up to me and buying me drinks and all of this sort of stuff. It was bizarre, absolutely bizarre. But it was a really good moment. I tell that story a lot. But that's what I like about Empire is that this whole thing, you are the hero. And you do get to see all of this sort of stuff going on. So, I mean, that must have been, a really great feeling for the guy who came in, the person who came in to do the clemency plea for you as well. That must have been.
I mean, he was. He then died shortly afterwards, but the things I find absolutely fascinating with the concept, and there's actually been a couple in Black since in terms of various crimes that were committed, and quite recently in terms of names, because I'm conscious don't want to push I see on them, but you get up with sort of interesting questions of suddenly someone will run up to you and go, "You were a priest?" Like, yes. Like, could you do clemency plea? Clemency pleas are great fun to do, and if you ever get a chance in the game to do one and you want to get involved in the faith game, do it. It's awesome. I was like, you know what, I can't, because the biggest problem I always find Empire is timekeeping, right? You're always like, I'm going to do this thing, because you want to go, you're either going for a fight, or you want to do this politically, or you want to go get promotion in, or you've got to discuss faith, or you'll just want to do that might be. But then also the really cool thing, so sometimes when you say, priest, I can't help you right now, but you know what? Or someone behind you often do the clemency, it's incredible. You're then suddenly saying to a player potentially kind of like, do this. It's a huge thing in game if someone who has those fantastic characters they look up to, right? I mean, great things. Game is kind of when you start, and first started as I was trying to find people look up to, like who's Thorn, like who does my character want to?
Yeah.
So you can do the same thing with all elements of the game, and the same thing happens in the religion game. You can tell, you know what? I think you'd be fantastic at this. Go. That becomes the thing that makes this game, right? Clemency thing, the crime might have only been theft, but the consequences could have also been a massive fine, which that person never would have been able to back, never would have been able to get the money, and so on. And there's moments, there's opportunities when the game, be it the faith game, being asked to run a message in the battlefield, suddenly being asked to get to the boss. There's opportunities when they come up, you see them, take your character in fantastically phenomenal, awesome ways that you've never planned.
Yeah. Just to say to everyone in chat, we are getting lag from Dave. We do know this. He is contacting us from Sierra Leone. So, but I think, to be honest, going from that far and with the internet out there, I think we're doing pretty well, to be honest, so far. I have turned Dave up a bit because a couple of people said that he might be a bit quiet, so I've just turned you up a bit here. So, yeah. But I think that's I think that's what I love about LARP in general, though, is that you get that connection with people. You get to see them. So someone you've never met before can come along and just go, "I'm going to do this and do this for you." It's like, because I've heard the story, I've heard everything, and I think you've done this. It's like and then that means you have impacted their game, something like that. When I played Vampire, one of the refs there, a guy called Stu Boja, he said something to me as a ref that always is stuck with me, and it said, if your character is killed or something happens to your character from another player, it's because you've had an impact on the game, and that's always stuck with me. So I think if I do anything, or if any character does anything, and he gets another player running along to go, I've got to do this for them. So like your scene with Matt, where he's off in the distance and he's surrounded and stuff like that, and you want to get to him, but you just can't get there. That is going to impact you, and then the character bleed from that. So where you actually were crying, I think that's one of the great things about this game. So a question from something Suka. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that, I'm afraid.
100%.
Can two priests claim clemency for different virtues, or is one priest your defender?
So it's nearly always just one, as it's just a priest. You don't necessarily have to speak clemency on the virtue to which you are dedicated either. And actually, there's a fancy kind of going down the legal route in the game and ending someone in court in front of a magistrate. Definitely worth kind of doing your homework, because magistrates, as fantastic as they are, obviously are NPCs. They're giving up their time for free. Game, and you could definitely tell once you've kind of seen one court case or more, you'll notice that the magistrates with a huge number of cases, right? There's a lot of crime going on, or indeed a lot of accusations of crime, I should say.
Yeah.
And it really does make sense if you can. Good clemency plea is short, emotive, and impact, right? So if I come in and go, I'm going to list all 7 of the virtues and give you an example as to why, for example, as a fantastic thorn should live forever and should be bathed in gold for the rest of his life. The straight is probably just going to yawn at you. Whereas if you come in and say he wasn't wise, he wasn't loyal, above all, he was ambitious. He was ambitious as to why he believed he could use this money in a better way for the empire than the current boss holder, which is why he stole it, right? So clemency, you're basically clemency. Defendant is saying that they did the crime, but that they did so for a religious reason. Clemency only applies in that case. A lot of people think they can claim they're not guilty and have a clemency plea. It's either or. So, a lot of the time with clemency pleas, the person has to claim, say, yeah, I did it. The plea may get off the still admitted guilt. That's a crucial distinction. And people go, I'm not guilty. Then suddenly the magistrate goes, I think you are guilty. Here's the evidence. So yeah, the penalty's X. And then they go, oh, I want clemency plea. You've got to say I'm guilty, and then you can have a clemency plea.
Yeah, you can't get it after. We got So what if one priest was half-assing it because they don't actually want you to get away with it? I think you're fucked. Pretty much.
The key thing is that sure you have a good clemency priest. I can certainly say from experience, the worst examples I could give you is where someone's gone, yeah, I really want a person, the really good clemency priest, and you go and you run off and go and find that priest. Comes in and goes, right, who are they and what have they done? Oh, they're accused of murder. What are the facts? Yeah, I'm not representing them. At which point the magistrate is just going to go, we're going to wrap this up now, so you're dead in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Definitely think you want to be your clemency priest is the most important thing before you start committing crime.
That's fantastic. You had drunken corsair. I've seen priests basically say he's guilty, and you go with that. So,
100%.
What's your favourite imperial position and why? I think that's the first time I've had that question come up. This is the first.
I think it depends. Position has their advantages. In terms of title, people say throne. Throne, they want to be the throne. The key thing is that the throne expectations, all of that title, a lot of meetings, right? It's your thing, and that's what you want to do all weekend. Congratulations, you might have a career ahead of you glittering in politics to sit the throne. Of all the titles, probably the most interesting, the ones that allow you to either have involvement with the most of the base in terms of section. The cardinal positions are fantastic. You can literally go into almost any nation and stuff about faith. That's really cool, and the access that title gives you is really interesting. It also depends what you want to do with the title. So, like the politics game, Senate is really interesting. You can actually build. You can build armies. You can change the very makeup of the territories of the game. Very different from the military. If you want to affect the military game, then obviously that's the general thing you need to go. I'd say probably for me the best title is either Senator, or the other one probably be one Cardinals. Like probably maybe Cardinal of Vigilance, just because that gives you some opportunities to kind of pretend to be the opposition.
Yeah.
I think you can also have there's game in every title, and it depends entirely what motivates you and your character.
There's you have to have a meeting kink for some positions. I definitely agree with that one. I think when I was a general, I had three or four people around me though, who I was able to say, you do that, you do that, you do that, you do that, and they were all really good at what they did. And then when they all came back, we had a little chat about what had gone on, and we made a decision together, and then we went off. So all it meant that I had to do was write down the order, sign the order, and that was it. But we had decided what to do together. But it meant that I got to lead skirmishes as well, which I love doing. So I'm quite But for me, the military game, I don't. Yeah, I'm there to have a fight and do that. But that was years ago now. But now my game has grown so big. As I put in all the prep work to be an information broker, so I hear a lot of stuff around the field. So when people say, "Well, does anyone know about?" I had a wonderful meeting with a hall in Wintermark, and they turned around and said, "We're having our hall meeting. We're discussing everything going on." This was when the Empress took over. One of the armies, one of the Navarre armies.
Yeah.
So they all went off to have their meeting about it all, and they said to me, "No, you're not one of us. You need to stay outside." So I was sat outside just listening, and every time they were saying, "Oh, but so what about this? Does anyone know anything about this?" And they were going, "No." So I shouted the answer from outside. I did it for about 10 minutes. I was answering all their questions for them, and they just got to the point where they said, "Well, yeah, do you just want to come in and tell us what's going on?" Then it's like, "Yeah, why not?" It was good. So you confuse orders with forgery. That must be about the military stuff, but yeah. So
I think that's a really interesting point. Right, just on that one there, though, right? You don't. The best part of the game doesn't involve titles or being a general or senator, right?
No.
It's doing exactly what you were talking about there. Like being the information broker is decisive in group politics, right? It's just the game. A great commander, being a great runner, being a great archer, being a great broker, being those themselves incredible, and you can be rich and full of heroism, if not more so than someone who spent the whole weekend running around with a title. I find that people get obsessed with titles when actually it's the game there, right? You can do a lot more without a title than you can with a title.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the best people to know are the ones not in the position, but it's their assistants. They're the ones to know. They're adjutants, the people next to them, because they're the ones who know everything about what's going on, because they're the ones who do a lot of the running. So I had an issue with another Navari information broker who was just going around spreading lies. All of their information was wrong. And it was great. It was so good. They actually came into the Wintermark Moot to deliver wrong information, and it caused a massive amount of uproar. It was so funny. It was so good. I didn't witness it, but you just hear about, they came into the movie, they told us all of this. I was like, oh, okay. No. And that was, and they were just done. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to go off and have a chat with this person. But it turned out that a lot of other information they had was very, very right. But they chose to deliver wrong information. So it's the people who have the power aren't always the ones in power. It's people who are going around whoever has the information has the power, essentially. So I'm not saying Mac has a lot of power, because he really, really doesn't. He just knows a lot of people who do have a lot of power. And I'm, out of character knowledge here, but I do steal from a lot of them. They have paid for so many drinks for me. It is unreal. It's great. Oh dear. So as a question, because we get a lot of new players who come along to watch these streams and stuff like that. What would be your biggest bit of advice you could give to a new player who's coming to Empire for the first time, whenever the next event may be? Just don't mention socks. That gets talked about a lot.
There's two things. Set expectations low. I don't mean that just in terms of what you want to achieve the weekend, because I'll tell you the number of people, and I was exactly this person who was like, oh, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to do 50 fights and go out and see this person. I'm going to become general, and I'm going to eat this hat and eat food or whatever. Won't. You arrive, actually entering an entirely different world with entirely different people who are strange and have makeup and differently and speak differently and have concerns. Sometimes the best, just going and sitting around a fire and talking to someone about, what's happening with the 2 feet striding, what's going on what's going on in Summer Suak, right? Is this happening? All stories often they're the best ones, because, and then you slowly decide, and you can't go, you're going to go over here now and talk to this, I'm going to go and see the thing. Quite low objectives for the first weekend, or the things you really want to do. There's something like 50 things, have 1, 2. Just see where you go, right? Yeah. That's probably the best advice I'd say from kind of the game. The second one, everyone was mentioning socks. Me, I'd say it isn't socks you need to worry about. It's just bringing a small towel, because opportunity, even if you don't want to go and have a shower, even if you dive in that ditch in the battlefield, yeah, that looked really cool. You're in mud, so just have to physically the makeup off your face, have something to dry your hands on. Small towel wins over more socks. I mean, always have more socks, but you definitely want a small towel.
I agree with that. I went into my first event saying, I want to be an advisor and I want to sit back. This is my first character, Cernanas, and I want to sit back, not do much, and things like that. And then by the next day, I'd replace someone as general. And it was like, okay, so we're doing this then. So, as Kit's just said in chat, you might not get that hat. Don't make that be the be-all and end-all of your game. I think being able to walk into the game and just go, I'm gonna go and talk to these people. I'm gonna talk to someone in the tavern, in the forge, something like that. I'm gonna go and visit another nation's bar, sit down, have a drink and have a chat with someone. And I think that's the best things you can do, because you always meet people who you would think, well, this is what my character's like. Your character always changes and it always grows. And it becomes essentially in your mind, a real person. So being able to sit down in a bar and have a chat with someone at your first event will become a very, very different conversation at your 10th event, because your character has grown and has changed so much. And I think that's a really nice thing to have. So instead of running off to do 100 things, get to know your character first. Sit down, have a drink, have a chat. The other thing to realise is that another 100 people may have the same goals as you. Imagine 100 people trying to talk to one person in the game over 2 days. Inevitably, they won't all manage it, so don't make it the end of the world. Yeah, perfect point.
And I think there's a really good point there about character progression, but small,
Mm.
and you decide that you really want to be the best warrior. Well, actually, that's a cool objective in itself for the weekend, right?
Mm.
Training at what weapons you want to haul first time, form a shield wall, right? Your first opponent, friend, right? These are all incredible events in your character's life if they are if you think of them as real. To suddenly come in and go, I want to be general. You've got to think that through in terms of to become a good general, you first have to be known to be a good soldier, right? To be a good warrior, and to start making your mark as a hero in the story of the mark. So starting smaller, it can very rapidly suddenly go, oh wait a minute, I've now suddenly got this title, or I'm suddenly doing this. But just starting small, you can still have incredible stories. You can suddenly end up going, you know what, in charge of that skirmish. Wait, what? Yeah, sorry, I can't make you're in charge of that skirmish. And so people like Kit and Justin, who you've had on the four, are actually prime examples of that. It's like you're suddenly in charge of a skirmish, right? You're suddenly in charge of like 40 people because you turn people that this is someone who games really interested in fighting, but to help people, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly you're leading a huge battle, or suddenly you're being told by a boss seat holder, "Can you hold my purse?" And it's 100 thrones in it. I bid this while I do this bidding, or come with me while we deal with this eternal. That's
Yeah, I think all of those things are good. It's being, I think it's also having the, it's taking that one step as well to go, can I do that? Just for that one person. So can you put me in charge of this? Can I do this for you? Can I do that? A lot of people who have a hat, they all need help in some way, shape or form. They've got a things like Kit said, but I want to be general. No, Kit, you can't. You die too much. Being able to come up with, Suka said, being able to come up with different characters is a skill. It took me years to learn how. Yeah, Mac was a throwaway character. When my first character died, that was me, just sat in a field going, yeah, I'll call myself Mac. And that was it. And done. And I've now been playing him for 6 odd years. So Human Jester. What made my first event was talking to a random group of people at the first move. Ended up hanging around with them all weekend and even reattached one of the legs. There is so much fun to be had just with people. That is exactly it. That's an amazing thing. Just hearing their stories. I always say to every new player, go up to a fire and ask them about themselves. Everyone wants to talk about their character. Everyone wants to say how great they are and how, well, not even that, but something amazing that they've done. And I think it's a great way of getting involved as well. I mean, I would love to, if someone came up to me in character and said, I want to go and talk to someone, who would you recommend to go and talk to? I have sent people up to Black Scar as a joke and stuff like that. And these people have come back to me and gone, oh, that was amazing. And I was like, really? I thought you'd be dead by now. But so...
so get about that in mind and pin the next load of murders on you. Got it. Just making a mental note.
Well, my last character was killed because 2 people from Black Scar stood up and admitted that they did it because I told them to. So that was a thing.
No comment. No comment. No,
there we go. Character progression is best when it's organic. Also, peak LARP is throwing hats, plot clues, cool puzzles at new people and seeing them go, holy shit, what the fuck do I do with this? And running with it into something beautiful, terrible. Oh, definitely. There's a group in Wintermark. I'm not gonna, obviously, I won't mention names or group names or anything like that. They're a group of young lads, and there are 2 brothers within the group, and they were having a bit of an OC argument essentially, and it became IC, and they asked me to come along and sort of like mediate and talk about it all and stuff like that, and we did. And it was a problem. One of them was a problem with money, and the other one was called a coward. So I said, well, the one with the problem with money, you go off to a nation and you see what you can do, and you make a bit of money, and you come back and you give it to your thane, and that's your punishment for saying this. And the one who was called a coward, right? Your next battle, you're going to go into the battle with nothing but a knife. And he did, and he got named in the moot as well. And it was incredible. So throw these sorts of stuff around. So if you're an experienced player, get new players to do stuff, because it's really, really good. Even if it's, I'll throw people money and just say, can you go and get me this and stuff, and I'll send them off to the 2 feet to go and buy me a bottle of 2 feet cider, because I know that going up to the 2 feet camp, you're going to have a chat with Kit, with Justin, with Will, with a few. There are some good people in that camp who are generally sat around there, and they will all talk to you. I mean, like Steph, she's generally hanging around there, and she's fantastic at building people up and just chatting to them and stuff like that. So I will always throw people at whatever I think they can handle, and I think it's a really good thing to do. So we've been going for hour 5 at the moment. I tried to limit these to an hour. I generally fail. I always finish on this question. It's a question I make a point of asking everyone. It came from.
Oh, good.
It's come from a great philosopher called Helen's mum, and it's a simple one. Why do you laugh? It's a good one.
For me, there's probably 2 reasons I love. One is that I think one is definitely escapism. I love the opportunity to be someone who isn't you, having a tough time at work. You know, you're finding school difficult. You're finding your studies aren't really well. Weekend doesn't matter, right? You're not you. Your biggest worry is, oh no, I don't have enough socks. Or being that character, right? And your sort of concerns are, you know, my trade caravan's got stuck in the ice at Somerset, and you know, I don't have enough money. It's great. It's an entirely fictional thing. It's the same reason why you might want to play games or read a book, right? It's complete escapism. Second one, I think, is the element of kind of the interactions of that for people. So you can really sort of see story progression, but you can also see people play around with different concepts. So I find fascinating political game. There's questions which are us in the real world, right? Good government look like, right? How does power actually work? Who's actually in charge? Is it the person with the title, or is it the advisor who sits 3 seats to their right? They're the one who actually has the money. They're the one who has the Steiner who answers them, the ones that look up to them. And those kind of questions are really fascinating. And so you can really kind of see a lot of the questions of loyalty, heroism, control, governance. All of them are in the game. They play out in very different ways, and so it's really fascinating to see how other people kind of with problems. You can kind of go, would I do that in that situation? You do that as you, or would you do that as your character? Is a really fascinating area to kind of explore with, and that's one of the great things about LARP. You can both do something different, and also do something very different in a situation which you do. So, you know, if you're having a tough time at work, you can't just go, you know what, I'm just going to go and get a load of screaming killers and come hack you up with butter knives. It's not going to work out for you long term. It won't work out long term for your character, but you do it. So there's some really, just playing around with the concepts and playing around with the difficulties is it's complete escapism.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think no one has answered this question the same. Let's put it that way. And I think it's a really good thing, because everyone needs LARP for different reasons. And I definitely miss it at the moment. I definitely can feel the effects socially and mentally that I haven't been in a field hitting nerds with sticks. It's a definite thing. So you had Helen has said the answer is because therapy is expensive.
That one, yeah.
Kit said he LARPs because in LARP he has the skills that he enjoys and that people will pay him to do. Sucre said LARP is distilled social contact. It's like an espresso shot of emotion, of investment into people's stories, adrenaline, stress, but stave stress, roller coaster fear, connection, love, hate, betrayal, and laughter. And that's just the first skirmish. So what we're saying is we could solve a lot of problems if we got Parliament to LARP.
Yeah, probably could actually.
I reckon so. I think having a place where you can expel that emotion, that feeling, that fear, that stress is a wonderful thing, and the battles are a great way to do that. So I roam about the battles a lot, and I know you do as well. You, with the Black Sky, you are in more than one place, and you see things going on. So like that person that you know, that your friend is over there doing things, and then you get to scream and shout at someone because they're on the floor behind lines, and you scream at a general, then you've got to go and save them. You get that, Suga said it's cathartic. You get all of that, and then when you come back from it, I think that's where LARP blues comes from as well. Because you always come out and you feel a bit drained, but that's because you've expelled so much in a field that your body needs a bit more time to recover, rest, and recuperate. Or you could just go and stay in Sierra Leone for a while.
Yeah, don't quite get the same joy.
No.
I think that's exactly the crux of it, right? No matter whether or not you fight or not, on your weekend when you're playing another something else, right? You could have done incredible things, right? You could have saved your whole standard. You could have that sentinel, right? You could have shoulder to shoulder with Shield Maiden Mark. You could have fought with the War Mage. Done incredible stuff. You could have bribed someone. You could have coerced someone. You could have stolen something. You could have dealt with an eternal. You could have cast magic, right? All of that is like, and the elation you get from doing this stuff, or the depth of despair when you didn't save that your whoremate's life, or as I mentioned before, warrior's life. Or you're feeling of great love in terms of this when you really want to take the field with. This is you're here together. This is proper. This is proper in the moment, in the heat of it, family, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you've been betrayed in Senate. Maybe you've decided that thing you're doing with the poison you're going to do, or that a religion game where you've decided, you know what, you want to be cardinal, right? That emotion the weekend, exactly that, and that drama. At the end of it, you're suddenly going, oh, I've got to pack my tent up now and drive home, or I've got to jump on the bus to get on that train. Yeah, that's definitely always the doubter I find in these blues afterwards. The kind of the Monday morning after every LARP, you're just there kind of like, oh. You want to go again?
I'm doing if we get an E4 or whenever our next event is, yeah, really, really fingers crossed on that one. I'm doing I'm doing a stream. I'm going to get another 3 people on, and we're going to have a chat about what we want to do at an event before the event and how everything is. And then on the Sunday after the event, we're going to redo it just to see how we all feel and stuff like that. So it's going to be an interesting one just to see, for a start, who's there, who's managed to make this call and stuff. I'll be there. I'll still have half my face paint on. I'll be as mucky as fuck, and I'll be tired. I'll be very, very tired, and I'll have my takeaway and beer, and I'll be set. But I think it's going to be a fantastic thing for people to see. Okay, this is how you start. This is how you finish. Be prepared for this, and it gives everybody a bit of insight, I think, into it all. So I think it could be quite an interesting one to do. But boo to you and your hope for E4. Yeah, Kit is potentially having another child over E4. Well, it's not potentially. He is having another child, but it might be happening over E4. So.
I mean, and obviously Kit will be hugely missed, right? We need Dane was the hero, right? Having more berserkers on the battlefield is what's needed.
Dane is my dickhead brother who got killed.
The key question then me is that why do I LARP? Have you answered the question of why do you LARP?
I answer it every single time I do one of these streams.
Sure, but at all the different answers, has that changed your answer? You see escapism, therapy, opportunity to be someone else. You get drunk in a field if that's your thing. Off to fight. Those are things that drive you.
As Helena said, I answer it every stream and it's still never the same. A LARP does a lot for me. I think LARP it's more than a hobby. I think a lot of it is it's a lifestyle as well that you have to leave. I've spoken to a fair few reenactors who have the same opinion about when they go off to do reenactment. It's a lifestyle choice essentially, and I think that for me, knowing that I get to go off in the field, pretend to be someone else. It used to be a case of, yeah, I get to go off, have a fight, get drunk, pretend to do drugs, and that was my event. It's now a case of, I mean, I met my fiance doing LARP, so it's a fantastic. So I would have never met her. I've made some really close friends doing it as well. People who I would have probably never have met in my life, and I now call them close friends, and it's a really good thing. So there's a lot of things that it all builds up, and I look at that field now, and I think I like the fact that I get to sit down at a tent, and I can just walk over and have a chat with that person. I know them sort of, but in character, our characters are really close. So I'll go over and have a chat with them, have a drink, and it's like, yeah, never been away. And then I think my favourite moment is that moment just before time in, where I'm sat in the tent and I've got my kit on, just finished putting my face on, and you're sat there. We've got a couple of other people there, and they're all doing similar sorts of things, and it's that nice chill moment where you're going, right, I'll leave Steve behind now for the next 6, 7, 8 hours. I'll go off and be back for a bit, and I'll be tired tonight, but I'll have had a great evening. And it's just that I never come away from a LARP being unhappy. Let's put it that way. I'm always happy.
I think you need to run classes on that, because in like the 9 years or so I've been doing this, role play. Or I should say, I have never been calm before time in. I am always panicking, being like, I haven't done my makeup, or I haven't got the armor thing on, and even like 1 minute past time in, as Kit and Chris and everyone can guarantee, I'm always late, trying to do up like a van bracer, running into meetings or something. I'm never on time. Bring that calm before the storm is a skill.
Oh no, I'm never ready. I'm never on time. This is like
Okay.
this could be like 20 minutes after time in, and I'm just sat there in the tent, and I've put everything on.
Yeah.
And I'm just sat there going, I'm not going out yet. I'm just gonna chill. I'm just gonna listen. You've heard them shout for a moo or standing or anything like that. I'm just going, nah. I'm just gonna chill out for a minute. Don't care. This is what I'm here for. And you have that moment, because I know that when I step out and I'll go off and I'll go and say hello to anyone, or this is what we're doing and stuff like that. The game, it then ramps up quite quickly. But I mean, I think my favourite one is we were told before the event that there's going to be a skirmish immediately at time in, and so when I was in the Navarre, so the egregore, so we were all there conveniently in our armour and tooled up and stuff like that and ready. And the egregore turned up at the standing, and then literally just went, right, everyone to the gate, and that was it. We knew we were going off on a fight immediately. So it was like you couldn't do it, but
Yeah.
it's all of those sorts of things. There's so much. I think we could do an entire stream literally about what we get out of LARP. And I probably should, to be honest. I think next time you're back in the UK, when you're back in the UK with better internet, we'll do that one. Yeah?
Mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, and
we
thanks
will do that
for
one.
having me on.
Yeah, not a problem at all. I believe we're getting you on for a virtues one as well, to have a chat about a bit of religion as well.
Good.
So,
and hopefully heresy, right? Heresy's a key one.
I will get
Blasphemy.
heresy. I'll get heresy into every single one of my virtue streams in the title somewhere. So yeah, so I think there'll be a bit of creative tinkering with that one, but we will get it in. So thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone who followed, subscribed, and stuff like that. I do say to everybody on this, any money I make from these streams goes back into LARP. I had someone who has won they'd won a nice little pack from Darkblade that I bought with money from the stream, and that was, yeah, really, really good. So any money that I get all goes off into that. Yeah, Helen's doing all my plugs and stuff. All of these go onto YouTube as well. So if you've missed it or you want to watch any of my other ones, then they're all there as well. But this has been really, really good fun. I do enjoy doing these, and I'm really, really glad that we got you on. It's been absolutely fantastic, Dave. So even if we've had issues with lag,
pleasure. And thanks very much, Helen.
There was like 20 seconds there. So yeah, thank you to Helen, our mod, my mod. And so yeah, so this has been absolutely fantastic. So I'll go to the end screen, but yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Dave. Thank you everyone for chatting and everything like that.